Now, back to
Will and Dibby
on 95.7 The Game.
All right, glad you are with us. It is all sponsored by Fremont Bank, full-service banking, no compromises. JD is in for dibs. We are connecting with Joe Theismann shortly. Your phone call is always welcome, 888-957-9570. That's our Comcast business text line as well. We're always checking in on that. And then the YouTube chat and the Twitch chat are going well as well. Thank you for checking in there and actually being courageous enough to look at us, which is not, always the easiest thing to do in the world of radio. While we get Joe, real quick, how about Jonathan in San Francisco? Hey, Jonathan, you're on with Willard and JD. What are you doing?
Hey, just getting ready to take off from the mothership. I just want to say, man, thanks for the music there. I just want to say there's a lot of criticism going Trey Lance's way. I'm beginning to feel sorry for the guy because Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch, all these 49er thinking heads and whoever is making decisions, they have put this young man under tremendous pressure. Because conventionally, a young guy coming in would have to beat out, the incumbent quarterback, QB1 in training camp and in practice, right? Well, it's kind of like just they handing all over the keys to the car and like, hey, here, drive the car and prove to them that you're worth it. So, hey, another thing I want to get to is, hey, Trey, this is going to be your first Seattle week, the first Seattle game. Bring your big boy pads, bro. I don't care who's the quarterback. This Seattle team is tough, dude.
You know what? Jonathan, thank you. Really appreciate it. I don't know if this Seattle team is tough. I know that the rivalry has been difficult. I know that it's often not gone the 49ers' way. But I am such a believer in the quarterback being the most important position in sports. I feel like this weekend is a brand new start of the 49ers versus the Seahawks. All the records that you want to give me over the last 8 years, I'm like, cool. Those are two different quarterbacks. These are two totally different teams.
It is, unless you lose, because it has been a lot of Russell Wilson. But if you lose, now maybe it's Pete Carroll that's the dominant force.
Yeah, no, this one actually great point, because let's not undersell how much pressure's on Kyle Shanahan to outcoach Pete Carroll this weekend. Okay, awesome. We've got Joe Theismann. He needs no introduction. Here he comes on 95.7 The Game. Mark Willard, JD with us in for dibs. Joe, how are you? Thanks for coming on.
Good, guys. Hey, listen, sorry I'm a little bit late if I am. I'm on my tractor, and time got away from me out here mowing the North 40, literally. No,
first of all, you show up whenever the heck you want, number one. Number two, we always ask people when they come on the show, it's kind of our little thing, not how you doing, but what are you doing? You're on a tractor right now?
Yeah, I got 100 acres here in Virginia, and I do a lot of the mowing myself. I mean, it's great therapy just to get out and ride around on the tractor, and, your mind wanders, and you think about, I'm listening to the radio, so I'm thinking about the games this weekend. I'm thinking about the next piece of land I need to cut. And then, I've got bald eagles, I've got fox, I've got groundhogs, I've got beavers, I've got all kinds. It's like a nature's park out here, and I just absolutely love it. I've had it since '84.
So you're meditating right now is what you're doing?
Yeah, I guess you could say that. I'm meditating as the tractor vibrates along.
Love it. Well, thank you for allowing us to interrupt you for a second. I'm sure you are very aware of what's going on. One of the most unique quarterback situations I think the NFL has ever known in bringing in Trey Lance and then keeping a big presence like Jimmy Garoppolo on the sideline. It's led to very quick, sweeping judgments about Trey Lance's career and his ability. Take us back to your first few starts. And how did people react back then, Joe?
I had the benefit, and I played at a time when if you were a rookie quarterback, you sat for a while. You don't even have to go back very far, but think of Patrick Mahomes and Alex Smith. Think of Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre. You can look at even recent history in football. It serves a young quarterback well to learn how to prepare, to learn the game better, to learn themselves better, to learn how to be a professional. And I'm not saying Trey's not, but these are all part of the learning process that you go through. I'm not going to be surprised. I mean, Trey is a very young quarterback. He's got to develop. I wouldn't be surprised if Jimmy winds up starting in the not-too-distant future. I mean, if that's the way, if Kyle believes in his football team and you brought Jimmy back, you didn't bring Jimmy back as an insurance policy. You brought Jimmy back just in case things don't go the way you want with Trey Lance. Now, let's not pass judgment early on Trey, but there's still a developmental stage that he has to go through. I think it was smart on Jimmy's part. Play one more year, figure out where you want to go. The next thing you worked on was the opportunity to be able to be there. You know the system. Kyle knows you. The teammates know you. And if it has to happen, you can jump right in and be the quarterback you've been. I mean, they've really had a lot of success with Jimmy. They just wanted to move on to the quote-unquote more mobile quarterback. Let me tell you something. A long time National Football League, if you can operate, not if you can run around. I mean, there are very few that can have that kind of magic. We see it with Josh Allen. We see it with Patrick Mahomes. But even Aaron Rodgers, with his ability to move around, he doesn't leave the pocket very often at all. And I think that's going to be part of the development for Trey. So I say, to college scouts and coaches, don't get enamored with a guy that can run around. Kyler Murray can run around, but he can't see out of the pocket. And so when you really look at different quarterbacks around the league, I think Trey is in a place where he's had a chance to play some football. But I think if San Francisco really gets in a little bit of a jam in the next 3 weeks, Jimmy's going to wind up playing.
Joe,
it's not a knock on Trey. It's just the fact that you haven't seen as much.
The thing that we get a lot around here is, well, if you go to Jimmy, then that immediately means that Trey Lance is a bust or he can't rebound from that. And I'm kind of sensing it in your voice, but I want to ask you, where does that leave Trey Lance for the future of his career if Jimmy winds up, let's say, starting for the remainder of this season at some point?
Let me tell you something. If you play quarterback, you better have thick skin. You better. The only thing that you can do is if you're not playing well enough to win football games and to help the football team win, and somebody else goes in, you just set your jaw and say, I'm going to do everything I can to get better at my profession. I know I'm going to be the San Francisco 49er quarterback going forward. I'm going to learn. I'm going to study. I'm not going to pout. I'm not going to worry about whether they sign Jimmy G or Tom Brady. Who gives a darn? Don't worry about the other guy. Worry about yourself. Make yourself a better football player. Take care of yourself and grow and learn. And that's all part of the process. And just, gee whiz, they brought Jimmy back. So what? I never worried about who was behind me when I was a starter. Heck, they drafted a kid the second round after I won the Super Bowl. I wasn't Joe Gibbs. I wasn't Coach Gibbs' quarterback. He was going to bench me after we went 0-5. But Trey's just got to not worry about what other people are saying. If it does come to pass that he winds up not playing, you never know if Jimmy's going to stay healthy. So you may be right back on the field. So you have to prepare instead of pout. There's two P's there, the preparation and the pouting. You don't want the pouting.
Joe Theismann with us. A Football Life premieres tonight on NFL Network. We'll talk more about that in just a second. Very much looking forward to that. But Joe, furthering this, I think the unique part of Trey's story, and it's pretty obvious actually, is that a lot of the other guys who get drafted in the top 5 and the top 10 go to bad teams, and there isn't immediate pressure. Trey doesn't have that luxury. He's got a roster around him where winning is expected right away. And so I think even those of us who thought there would be bumps and bruises also thought, but not so many that they'll miss the playoffs. Is that fair to expect playoffs from Trey Lance this year?
It's hard to say. How will he grow? How will he develop? We're trying to make assumptions, guys, on one football game. I don't think that's fair to anybody. It's not fair to the franchise. It's not fair to Trey. It's not fair to anybody. So as I look at it, you've got to see what does week 2, week 3 look like. I mean, there's 17 football games now. I came in the league when there were 14, played when there were 16. Now there's 17. Let's not anoint anybody or put somebody out of a job so quickly. Let's see what he looks like this week. To me, the first 2 regular season games are like preseason games. Hey, Trey didn't play a lot in the preseason, right?
No.
I mean, he didn't. So now he's got to play a full football game. Now he's got to manage a full football game. Now he's got to understand how to make plays in a full football game. He's still learning about who he is as a professional quarterback. The 49ers are learning about what he's capable of doing as their quarterback. I think it was one of the smartest moves in football was signing Jimmy back. And I think it was good for both Jimmy and the 49ers. Because it's a football team that can compete, as we've seen, for the playoffs and possibly a Super Bowl. And Jimmy's done that. So, not too distant future or past, I might say. But I would tell everybody, whoa, everybody, chill out, take some time, relax, give the young man a chance to grow and learn. Let's see how he does this week. Let's see how he does next week. Let me tell you something. Kyle Shanahan, to me, is one of the greatest play callers. I'm not good, greatest play callers in football. Mike was a terrific play caller. Kyle has taken it in a different direction, in a different time in football. And I have tremendous respect for him and for John and everybody that's involved in that organization. They're going to do what they need to do to win. And you don't have to worry about bruising somebody's ego. Now, if you get your ego bruised because another guy got the job, forget it. Give you a classic example. Brian Robinson in Washington was out of Alabama. He had gotten the job. Antonio Gibson fumbled in a preseason game. It was Antonio Gibson's job. He was the starting running back. Brian Robinson was going to be the starting starting running back till he got shot. Now, Antonio Gibson could have done one of two things. He could have pouted and said, "Oh man, they gave away my job is gone," or he could have set his jaw and say, "I'm going to go out. I'm going to correct the fumbling issue, and I'm going to be the running back that they know I can be, and I know I can be." And when Brian comes back, we're going to have two good ones. But he just and Antonio had a really, really good football game in the opener against Jacksonville. So I say to Trey, don't worry about what other people are saying. Work on your trade. Do the best you can. Be the best you can be. And don't let other things get involved. Don't listen to the noise around you. You just prepare to play quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers.
The noise around you is one thing. When does it become noise inside a locker room? Do you think, Joe, that there are players in that locker room that are looking at it right now as, hey, maybe Jimmy already would give us a better chance to win? And at what point do you think that seeps in, even if Trey Lance has been the starting quarterback since February?
I don't think it creeps in at all. I mean, players know more than anything what's going on. And they understand that it's early in the season. They understand that it's the first game. And like I say, I think Trey's going to have to go out and play good football this week. I mean, and what is good football, guys? This would be a great conversation to ask the fans that are listening. Define good football. I'll give you my definition. Make good decisions with the ball in your hand. Manage the clock well. Manage the calls coming in from the sidelines well. When people are open, get them the football. Make plays when you have to, but don't make a critical play that costs you the game. I used to have a sign that sat in my locker, and it was there before every game I played, and it goes like this. You don't have to be the reason a team wins. You just can't be the reason it loses. And that applies mentally, and it applies physically. So I think it'd be a great question for everybody. What's good? What is good? But there's so many aspects of it.
Joe Theismann with us on 95.7 The Game. A Football Life premiering tonight on NFL Network. Joe, that has to be quite an experience. How you feeling about that?
I'm humbled. I'm flattered. I'm honored to join the library of guys that they've done a Football Life on. I mean, I watch it all the time. I think it's one of the best. I think it's one of the best series on television as far as the production of it goes, and I think it gives people a much better idea of who the individuals are. And to have been chosen for it, like I said, I'm flattered and honored.
What a time in your life. A Football Life on NFL Network, and the Cowboys are off to a tough start. Am I right?
Yeah, things are pretty decent, except for one thing. Except for one thing. I have to qualify this. I hate to see Dak get hurt.
Yes, of course. Of course.
I hate to see anybody get hurt. I mean, Justin got hurt last night. And you hate to see guys get hurt and miss time. And, sure, I'm not going to root for the Cowboys, even though one of my dearest friends just went to the Hall of Fame, Drew Pearson, by the way, who was in the Football Life tonight. But I hope Dak comes back as healthy. Hey, the Cowboys are one of the best undisciplined football teams in football.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. It's funny as we're sitting here. There's quotes coming across Twitter right now that Mike McCarthy is already calling out the offensive coordinator for his play calling. I'm like, you think we're overreacting to Trey Lance in 1 week? Things feel like they're imploding after one loss in Dallas, and I figured you wouldn't hate that.
Well, let me put it this way: I don't like the word hate, but I'm not going to lose. I'm not going to cry over spilt milk. Let's put it.
All right, Joe. Back to the tractor, man. Thank you so much.
Guys, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Always good catching up with you. Take care.
Absolutely. You too. Joe Theismann of Football Life tonight on NFL Network.